It was a cold night in 2011. A young college student, let's call her Sarah, trudged home after a long evening class. She was exhausted, the kind of tired that seeps into your bones. All she wanted was the comfort of her own bed. As she stepped inside, she let her heavy backpack slide off her shoulder and thump onto the living room floor. Without a second thought, she headed straight upstairs to her bedroom. She closed the door behind her with a soft click, a deliberate act to shut out the world and create her own little sanctuary. The room was dark, save for the cool, pale light of her phone screen as it came to life. She flopped onto her bed and started texting a friend, hashing out plans for the upcoming weekend. The house was quiet, almost unnaturally so, and then a sound broke the silence. 3 soft, deliberate knocks on her bedroom door. Tap, tap, tap. They were slow, unhurried, as if the person on the other side had all the time in the world. Sarah froze for a second before a familiar voice drifted from the hallway. "Honey, don't forget to leave the door ajar. You know I don't like it locked." It was her mother. Sarah let out an exasperated sigh and rolled her eyes. It was a rule she'd heard 1,000 times. Reluctantly, she got up, walked to the door, and pulled it open just enough to leave a small gap. Then she returned to her bed, fluffing her pillows and trying to get comfortable again. But something had shifted. A strange, unsettling feeling washed over her. It felt like she was being watched. With every message she typed, the sensation grew stronger, as if a pair of unseen eyes were fixed on her, tracking her every movement through that narrow opening. She tried to shake it off, dismissing it as her imagination running wild after a long day. An hour crept by and the unease had started to fade, almost forgotten, when she heard her mother's voice again, this time calling from downstairs, from the kitchen. "Dinner's ready." The call was normal, almost comforting in its familiarity. But there was something slightly off about it. The tone was flat, monotonous, like a pre-recorded message playing on a loop. Sarah frowned, a flicker of confusion crossing her mind. She chose to ignore it. Maybe her mom was just tired too. She opened her laptop and pulled up her favorite TV show, hoping the noise would distract her. The upbeat theme music filled the room, wrapping her in a fragile blanket of security. And that's when it happened. A sudden violent crash from the hallway, the unmistakable sound of glass shattering, as if it had been thrown against the wall with incredible force. The sharp noise echoed through the house, and Sarah's heart leaped into her throat, pounding against her ribs. Before she could even process the sound, the voice called out again, but this time it was different, louder, deeper, and strangely distorted, like a warped recording. "I said dinner is ready." A cold dread washed over her. She sat frozen in her bed, her breath caught in her chest. She didn't dare to move, didn't dare to make a sound. The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. Finally, summoning every ounce of courage she had, she whispered a single, trembling word into the darkness. "Mom?" The word hung in the air, unanswered. The house remained deathly quiet. Slowly, cautiously, she slid out of bed. Her feet felt like lead as she crept towards the hallway. Every shadow seemed to twist and writhe, playing tricks on her eyes. The short walk to the kitchen felt like an eternity. When she finally peered into the room, her blood ran cold. The kitchen was spotless, pristine, everything in its perfect place. There was no sign of dinner, no sign of a struggle. Except for one thing, a single, neatly folded piece of paper sitting right in the center of the kitchen table. Her stomach twisted into a knot as she recognized the familiar looping script of her mother's handwriting. With trembling hands, she picked up the letter and unfolded it. Her eyes scanned the words, but her brain struggled to comprehend them. "Sweetie, I got called in for an extra shift at the hospital and won't be back until early tomorrow. If you need me, call me. Love, Mom." The silence in the house was no longer just quiet. It was a deafening, terrifying void. She stood there paralyzed, the note shaking in her hand, the knocks on the door, the voice telling her to keep it open. The broken glass in the hall, the distorted calls for dinner. If her mother had been at the hospital this whole time, then who was in the house with her? If you were in her shoes, what would you do? Would Would you run for the door, or would you hide and pray you aren't found? Let me know in the comments what your plan would be. Share this with a friend who loves a good scare, and don't forget to subscribe for more true stories that will keep you up at night. Thanks for watching.